by Matthew Cappucci, meteorologist with the Washington Post. Good evening and thank you for joining us on CTV News Channel, Matthew. Appreciate your time. Can you describe Isaias and the potential threat it has to anyone in its path?
Yes, very much so. This is a moisture-loaded storm. It dropped up to 20 centimeters of rain in southwestern Puerto Rico in the Cabo Rojo neighborhood, which caused widespread flash flooding and power outages, up to 400,000 people for a time without power in the Commonwealth. Now it has winds of about 110 kilometers per hour, so the wind threat is ticking down. It's a strong tropical storm, but nonetheless a very heavy rainfall threat up and down the entire U.S. East Coast.
What sort of damage are we expecting when it makes a landfall in Florida?
Well, the tricky thing is right now the mid-level circulation has become detached from the low-level circulation, meaning the winds aren't quite as bad. Florida will likely see winds about, I'd say, 70 to 90 kilometers per hour with gusts locally to 110. So it's not that bad in terms of the wind threat, but it's the collateral effects as well, mainly the rain. A widespread 5 to 10 centimeters with local areas 15 centimeters plus, and in addition to that, a storm surge of about a half a meter to 1 meter.
When we talk about hurricanes and storms, of course, after destruction, there is this whole recovery phase. But we are, of course, in the midst of a pandemic. How difficult do you see that recovery phase once we have crossed this the storm?
That's a very tricky element of it, because with storm shelters, you have a lot of people all in one communal area. And now there's so many hoops we have to jump through in order to get that. In fact, the American Meteorological Society recently put out a statement saying if you do go to a storm shelter, you're responsible for your own masks, sanitizers, and they're working with state and local officials to make sure you can maintain social distancing while in the shelter. So it's difficult going in, and it will be kind of interesting to see how people evolve after the fact in terms of the cleanup process in the wake of a pandemic.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of a hurricane season are experts expecting this time around?
This has already been an incredibly rambunctious start to hurricane season. Isaias, the earliest ice storm on record, and normally for our ninth named storm, we see that closer to October 4th. So we're more than 2 months ahead of schedule with our earliest C, E, F, G, and H storms. Already, the Atlantic has put out 238% more energy than it normally would by this point in the season, and we have a long ways to go with September 15th, the typical peak of hurricane season. Now this season, deeper in the season, I'm forecasting more intense hurricanes because we have very warm waters, about 1 degree Celsius above normal, which means the storms can be that much wetter, that much stronger. In addition, we'll have much more rising motion over the Atlantic, favoring stronger storms, thanks to something called a convectively coupled Kelvin wave, teaming up with La Nina towards the end of August and into early September. So we have a long way to go, and unfortunately things will get worse before they get better.
We have a long way to go indeed. Matthew Cappucci, meteorologist with the Washington Post. Appreciate it.